Should faith and business be combined? Of course it should. Stay tuned to find out how and why. My name is Jason Bradley, and you're watching Urban Report. Hello and welcome to Urban Report. My guest today is Jesse Zwicker, president of Hive. Welcome to Urban Report, Jesse.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah, man, I'm so happy that you're here. We've got a lot to discuss in a short amount of time, and I know that it is a topic that you are extremely passionate about. But I also know that you weren't just born the president of Hive. So what is your background?
So I grew up in Switzerland.
Okay.
My whole life. I did have a family, a Christian family background, Adventist family, but I didn't really, I wasn't into all of this, especially not, I wasn't into the church, I wasn't into mission, and I certainly wasn't into entrepreneurship. I was really more of a musician than anything else. Mm-hmm. I loved drumming. I would practice up to 8 hours a day. I would go do concerts even during the week, in jazz bars and of course in the weekends, and do like almost any music you can think of, mm-hmm. from progressive rock to jazz to hip hop to whatever. And I loved that. And actually I was about to, I had received an offer to get a scholarship to go to Berklee College of Jazz, mm-hmm. in Boston, to go study drumming. But right before that, really, I was invited to go do this evangelistic campaign in the Philippines.
Okay.
Now, I didn't know what evangelism was. We never did that in Switzerland. So I'm like, whatever it is that we're doing in the Philippines, sounds like an adventure. Let's go. Yeah. So I went, and I had a very crazy experience, because I got there. The first thing that happened was they put up this we got to the church, and they had this big banner, like 12 feet wide banner, and it had all these animals on it, and it said, "Discover the prophecies," and then it said, "With evangelist Jesse Zwicker," and it had a picture on me on the flyer.
Wow.
And actually on the banner. So mm-hmm. at the church, and I'm like, I went to the pastor. I'm like, what did you get me into? What is this? Yep. And he's like, "Hey, you were asking for an adventure. I'm going to give you an adventure."
Yeah. Okay? And you were still trying to figure things out, correct?
Oh yeah. No, I was totally not into any of this. I'd never preached in my life. I was not into any of this. And so for the first time, I'm like, okay, I gotta pray. I need God's help here to make this work. Yeah. And so the pastor said, "Hey, here's a stack of sermons. These are pre-written. You just need to read through it, make sure you understand what you're going to preach about in the evening. Uh-huh. You're used to being on stage, no problem. Just go wing it, you'll be fine." And so I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right." So everybody else was like going on these tourism, things. Uh-huh. And I was just stuck in the hotel room trying to figure out what to say. Mm-hmm. And actually, it was during those days in the hotel room that I started understanding the gospel. And I started understanding everything. I was like going to be 27 sermons. So I'm like digging into everything, wow. The 7 seals and the 2300-day prophecy and the whole 9 yards, of how this whole thing works together. And I'm like, whoa, this is amazing stuff. I didn't know I knew. I supposedly knew all of this, Yeah. And so I'm like, wow, this is exciting. So I got into it, and I got so excited about it, I started making baptismal appeals for people to get baptized, and I was not even baptized,
Well, so you were calling people to get baptized, but you weren't even baptized. No. You weren't converted yet.
No.
Did the pastor know that?
I don't think he knew. Nobody told him. Actually, I went and asked him. I'm like, "Pastor, can you baptize me with the people that are coming to these series?"
Yeah.
And he's like, I think you're going to have to wait until you get back to Switzerland because it would look pretty awkward for the for the preacher to get baptized with the people.
Yes,
anyway,
yes.
so I'm like, all right, sure, fine, right? So I got baptized when I got back to Switzerland.
Nice.
But that to me was like my experience of like, wow, I don't want to do anything else, everything else, even drumming looked boring to me. It's like, I don't want to do a normal, boring life, boring job like everybody else. I want to work for God. I want to do this full time for the rest of my life. That was my program up to this day, you know, like I got so excited about it. So that really shifted my life.
Yeah, see, that's incredible. It's like God had that plan in mind because he knew it would cause you to study and you to grow in his word, and then you were going to get baptized.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So how did you get into missional entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so actually right after that thing, instead of going to study, drumming, the pastor told me, I asked him, how can I advance the work of God most effectively? And how can I serve God full time? So he said, really, the only way to do this is by studying theology and becoming a pastor, And I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I have nothing against pastor work, I think some people are called to be pastors.
It just wasn't your calling.
But not everybody is called to be a pastor. Just because somebody's converted doesn't mean they need to be a pastor,
Yes.
And so I'm like, but there must be a broader concept where God can involve all talents in advancing God's work. But nobody could tell me any concept, So I decided, well, okay, I guess I need to go study theology. So I started studying Greek and Hebrew. I actually went to a mission school before that, which was helpful. I met a friend from Honduras. And then when I was in theology, then this guy, my friend from Honduras, he calls me and he's like, hey, Jesse, I just got this project, a property donated to start this ministry. Come to Honduras, and I'm like, he's all alone. Like, what am I going to do? And I prayed about it. I'm like, Greek and Hebrew and working out in the jungle, fighting with crocodiles and doing mission work, So I'm like, I'm going there, So I decided to essentially drop out of college. I did end up finishing like 11 years later.
Okay.
But yeah, typical college dropout, We started school, I was like 19 years old at the time.
Wow.
We started a church there, a mission school. There was no Adventist presence in that community there. So we're trying to figure things out. I mean, I had no clue what I was doing, to be honest.
Yeah.
He didn't have any clue. He was even younger than me, And so we're like trying to figure this out. So I've really felt like the Lord can use anybody,
Absolutely.
Regardless of their background, God can use them.
Yeah, there's that saying that, he doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called.
Amen.
And that's exactly what happened with you.
That was my experience.
Yes.
And I learned 10 times more than 4 years of college in the years that I was running that ministry. But in that ministry, and this was the situation is, Jose, who had called me, he ended up after a couple months telling me, hey, he needs to go study full time. His parents are asking him to study. So I need to run the project. So I'm like, I don't even know the language, But the Lord opened my head. I was able to learn the language very quickly. So I got into like leadership, and I had to figure out, how do we pay people?
Yeah.
How do we sustain this ministry? And that's what actually opened my mind is, wow, we had an elementary school that we started. We had a bakery where we were starting, a wellness center,
yes.
a mission school, a church, and we're like, how do I sustain all of this? How do we make this work? And so that's really what got me started into, hey, we should start like industries to be able to sustain this whole thing.
Yes.
So then that became part of my frame is this is why we need to do entrepreneurship.
Okay.
We got into our first larger project was a tamarind plantation that we started processing tamarind fruit into concentrate. We started selling it to the juicing company to make concentrate to make juice out of it. And so we started funding the ministry that way. And I'm like, wow, we actually started making contacts. We hired like 30 people from the community to harvest the tamarind. We started doing devotionals with them,
Nice.
every morning. And I'm like, we're starting to reach more people through the business than through the ministry.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, this is powerful. It's not just the traditional ministry that can be ministry, but any business can actually be a ministry. So it opened my mind, and I'm like, wow, we need to do this at a larger scale.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is critical, that you have a way to sustain the ministry side of things, because it does take finances. I mean, and things aren't cheap. So what is Hive, and what do you do?
Yeah, so based on that experience of my first missional entrepreneurship experience, we went on to, and this has been always my frame of mind, is how do we advance the work of God most effectively? And that's actually what led me to entrepreneurship. Right? This was one of the most effective ways that I could see that we could really sustain, and not just sustain, but scale. Because many ministries are not scalable. They're barely surviving or whatever, and it's like, well, if we just were a little bit more profitable, then like McDonald's, McDonald's, because it's profitable to do one restaurant, they can start another one. They can invest into another one. Now they have almost 50,000 restaurants around the world, and it's because they're doing it and with a scalable model. And I'm like, we need to do ministry in a scalable model. More people know about Coca-Cola than about Jesus. They just did the study, and it's like 96% of the world's population knows Coca-Cola, and it's not even a third that knows Jesus. So they're using marketing, they're using branding strategies, scalable methods to reach the whole world, every corner of the world, the remotest place. I was a missionary in Venezuela, out in the boondocks in the Amazon, and they don't know anything, but they do have a Coca-Cola in their hand, and I'm like, how did this get here, So it's really, how do we use that immense scalable technology and options to really transfer that into ministry and into what we're doing. So that shifted into starting. We started a translation company, a Christian translation company, Crosslingo, where we translate a lot of stuff for the General Conference, for Amazing Facts, for many ministries, dubbing and this and that, and of course written stuff. And then we got into a software where to crowd translate. We actually integrated that into the General Conference, into the White Estate, to translate Ellen White's writings, and then I got into all kinds of many projects. But this is in coaching and consulting and so forth, and this is what then opened the door for me to say, we got to really share this idea of missional entrepreneurship and empowering missional entrepreneurship at a larger scale and bringing this community together. So we started Hive, and Hive. Really, right now we have a couple thousand, 2,000 entrepreneurs from different parts of the world that are connected in our community, and with that same focus of doing mission and business at the same time. So where then Hive, or where the concept, the name came from, is really from this vision from Ellen White that she had 100 years ago about San Francisco, which is interesting because it's the hub of Silicon Valley, where it's where business is really distorted. But she has this vision of how we can do business in a missional way. So she has this vision of the beehive of San Francisco. The beehive had all these bees of different business ventures that were missional. So she had vegetarian cafe, there was a health food store, there was a clinic, there was a sanitarium, there was all these daycare. I mean, they did all kinds of things to really help society with the problems that they were facing, gaining their confidence, doing Christ's method, gaining their influence, and with that then doing campaigns evangelistic campaigns and inviting them, and they had major success. And she says, if we would work the cities as God would want us to work these cities with this beehive model, the result will be the setting in operation of this mighty movement of the latter rain across the world, because it would incorporate not just pastors working full time, but it will get everybody to work full time, like all the church members that are right now just sitting in our pews, listening and paying a little bit of tithe sometimes. You know what I mean? Like this, if we think that model is going to finish the work, I think we're mistaken.
We got to get up, get out, and do something.
We got to change our model of involving our lay people, not just in our free time, which is crowded out by everything else, but really into a full-time, more sustainable model.
Yeah, absolutely. Why do you think people are so hesitant to get involved or to mingle business with faith?
Yeah, I think it's a medieval time period issue that the church at the time really vilified wealth and vilified money in a sense. They made it seem better that you were poor. So the poorer you were, the more spiritual you were. So the monks, which was the epitome of spirituality, they had to have their vow of poverty, right? To show that they were not worldly, not selfish at all. And this still comes into our culture today, Plus, I think that's part of it. They obviously did that to make more money themselves, Anyway, but the other part is really our human nature is selfish. So if selfish people can't take advantage of business and can't take advantage of people, and so there is that negative feeling that when people do that in a bad way, we have that experience. So then anybody that talks about business or talks about money or wealth or something, it's all worldly and it's all selfish. But actually, there is a way for us to do business in an unselfish way, right? And where we think more, the golden rule, where we think more for our neighbor than for ourselves, like we need to think, how would I want to be treated, as a customer? How would I want to be treated as an employee? Like this is part of that reform of business reform,
changing the culture,
of really integrating faith into our business.
Absolutely. So what are some businesses that you help out? Because I know you're quite active in the community and all that stuff. What are some of the businesses? Share some of the stories. Yeah.
So recently we've been helping a cancer center in Heartland, the Heartland Wellness Center. They have a phenomenal program. I think it's the most successful place for treating cancer. They have like 78% success rate right now over the last 10 years that they've been doing it. Of the people that come with cancer, they go into remission. I mean, it's like very phenomenal.
That's huge.
And I saw that, and I'm like, wow, we should help figure out your marketing and so forth, because they were in financial issues and so forth. So we decided to help them, and we get many ministries and businesses come and help us. That's part of what we do as Hive. Is to help different businesses. So we can show the video.
Oh yeah, let's take a look at that video right now.
My name is Norbert Restrepo, and I'm the president of Heartland Institute of Health and Education. Heartland is primarily a college, and it also operates a wellness center. For years, we have struggled to bring our wellness center to be a profitable ministry. We had the dream, we had the goal of not only ministering to people, but of being financially stable, and that our wellness center could even bring profit to help run and cover the expenses of its operation. We were relying on donations and gifts to be able to run this wellness center. However, when we met Hive, a group of experts who combined mission values and missionary projects with business entrepreneurship, we decided to explore their services. For the last 2 years, Hive has been offering consulting services to our wellness center, and the results we have seen have been amazing. Within these 2 years, we have doubled the amount of health guests that come to our wellness center, and we have tripled our revenue. For the first time in Heartland's history, our wellness center is not only covering all of its expenses, but it's actually producing monthly revenue. We are so thankful. It is possible to combine mission with best business practices. And in that endeavor, Hive International was the organization that helped Heartland achieve that goal.
Wow. Jesse, that's a great testimonial right there. I mean, tripled their income. They can do a lot and help a lot of people with that increase. So tell me more about Hive.
Yeah, so we started actually so we started cooking the idea about in 2015, and then in 2017 we organized our first Hive event, which we call Hive Camp.
Okay.
The signature event, really, part of that is what we call the Lion's Den. The Lion's Den is basically an Adventist version of Shark Tank. I don't know if you've heard of Shark Tank.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, so it's like, you got investors and you get startups and they pitch their ideas, but the investors, in our case, they're not just looking for a monetary return on investment, but they're also looking for a spiritual return, an eternal return on investment.
Yes.
So really shifting that model, but making it cool at the same time. People love it.
Yep.
So we started that. I think I have a picture there of our first event in Berlin.
Wow.
So we've been doing events. I mean, the result from that has been, people are asking us from all over the world to organize these kinds of events together with them. We have one coming up at Southern Adventist University. We're doing a co-event together with them.
Nice.
For nationwide. So anybody from North America, we have even outside come and pitch there, or they want to learn, or they're investors, they want to be part of this, or they want to donate. So it's part of that. And we have another one coming up in Sydney, Australia, doing it with the division there.
Yes.
So working on in different parts of the world to really advance this idea of empowering missional entrepreneurship, because a lot of people today, I mean, I just read a study like a couple weeks ago. It says 63% of young people below 30 want to start their own business if they haven't already.
Wow.
63%.
Yeah,
These are the people that often are leaving the church, because they're pursuing their own thing. So I'm saying, hey, let's give them a platform where they can do business, but they can do it with a missional focus.
Amen.
Like, let's give them a deeper meaning, and it's a more powerful meaning and purpose in their lives, So I really like that. So that was how we started. But from that, really, it's gone into, a lot of businesses are asking us to help them with their profitability and also with turning them into a ministry, right? So we have courses on that. We do, of course, coaching, and we do a lot of different things to help all the people that are asking for this kind of help.
Yes.
And then we have ministries like the one at Heartland, where we help them with their profitability and all these kind of things. So, so it moved from that then, and now really our big thing is this creating these beehives in every city of the world, the way, based on that vision, that we're told, like, how do we connect everybody? So we started a directory. We got a couple thousand there, where now we're wanting to connect all of the Adventist business owners to be part of this network, a local network and a global network of building that beehive, building a community that works together to reach that city.
So how do people connect with you, Jesse? If they want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
Well, the easiest way is just to go to the website, hiveinternational.org. I have the email, hello at Hive International, or Jesse at Hive International.
Okay.
So you can write to me, I'm available. Like, this is my life. This is what I do.
Yes.
I want to advance this work. If you want to be part of this, partner with us. Organize a chapter in your local city. We can do an event together, or we can, join the directory. There's many ways for us to get in contact. let's make it happen.
That's great. Pop quiz for you. So if somebody wants to get started, if they, well, let's say they want to start a business or something along those lines, how do they go about doing that? What are some of the things that they should consider in that process?
So the first thing you need to do is go to our website and go to the resources page, and you'll see templates there on what are the top 10 questions that you need to figure out in which order for you to be able to validate whether this idea is worth pursuing or not, right? So it's all about trying to find out, building a product without any money.
Yes.
That you can test with customers to see if somebody would even buy that idea. Because we all fall in love with our own ideas, but the world usually doesn't like those ideas. So if you invest a lot of time, a lot of money into something that in the end is going to die when it hits the market, you're gone, right? So the way we do it is really with what we call the lean startup methodology, which is how to do something in a structured way so you can test. Everything you're doing is a test. You test with no money, but you can test if people sign up, right? Or you don't have to buy this multi-million-dollar property for you to start a wellness center. Well, you can rent. You can put up a website for $10, rent the hotel, or a few rooms if people sign up. So you can see, people sign up. Then with that money, it's customer funded. You didn't spend a dime of your own money, and you can go to the hotel, do your program, test it out, get feedback, learn how it's done before you start investing money. So there's always a way for you to figure out how to get to that, what we call the MVP, the minimum viable product, right?
Nice. So you're doing that market research.
That's right.
And you're not even having to pay for that market research because you're leveraging the capital that's coming in from the people that are signing up. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. So on your website, there are more things. You said there's 10 templates?
Many templates, resources. You can have pitch decks. There's all kinds of things, that you can use.
Nice.
You can just customize for your own business,
Yes. Now, didn't you have a pitch, like a canvas or something?
That's right.
Touch on that a little bit.
Yeah. So there's a pitch canvas that we have, a Hive pitch canvas, that essentially goes through the most important questions that investors usually have about your business, if they want to invest or not. And you are the top investor essentially in your own business, right? You're investing all your time into it. So you need to answer those questions in order for you to be able to know whether this is really worth going after or not, right? From a missional perspective, but also from a business, from a financial perspective. So it's really important to go through those questions.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing. We have to have you back, Jesse. Thank you for joining us. I want you to remember, it just wouldn't be the same without you.